Intro. Deep thoughts to fall asleep to. Close your eyes for a moment. Let go of the noise, the distractions, the weight of the day. Imagine your mind drifting not into emptiness, but into the vast expanse of thought itself. Questions that linger on the edges of consciousness, ideas too deep to fully grasp, yet too fascinating to ignore. Tonight, we venture into these thoughts, not to find answers, but to feel the weight of wonder itself. What if the universe is just a dream? What if time isn't something we measure, but something that measures us? If the past, present, and future are all intertwined, then where do you truly exist? These are the thoughts that lull us into sleep, the kind of sleep where imagination and reality blur, where you drift between ideas, never quite reaching the shore. So settle in, let your mind wander, and as you listen, allow yourself to dissolve into the deep, endless sea of thought. The universe as a dream. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow and realize everything, your memories, your identity, even the stars above, was just a dream. But what if that's already the case? Some of the greatest minds in history have pondered the idea that reality itself might be nothing more than an illusion, a grand cosmic dream we are all caught inside. If dreams can feel as real as waking life, then what truly separates them? In dreams, time bends, places shift, and impossible things happen without question. Yet in waking life, we assume everything is solid, predictable, and grounded in logic. But is it really? Physicists have discovered that at the smallest levels, particles don't behave the way we expect. They flicker in and out of existence, appearing only when observed. It's as if reality itself needs consciousness to exist, just like a dream. What if you're dreaming right now? Not in the way of a fleeting night vision, but in the sense that your entire existence is part of something larger? Some spiritual traditions believe that life is the dream of a cosmic consciousness. And when we wake up, we merge back into the infinite. Could this explain why we sometimes feel like reality is slipping through our fingers? Think about déjà vu, the strange feeling that you've lived a moment before. Could it be a glitch in the dream, a moment where two layers of reality briefly overlap? Or perhaps your mind, in its vast complexity, is simply replaying a scene from another version of itself. And what about death? If life is a dream, then is death simply waking up? Do we transition from one dream to another, endlessly shifting between different states of awareness? Or does the dreamer, whoever or whatever it may be, finally open its eyes and realize none of it was real? The philosopher René Descartes once asked, "How do we know we are not dreaming right now?" It's a question without an answer, but maybe that's the point. Maybe existence is not about certainty, but about the beauty of the mystery itself. What's even more fascinating is how our dreams feel just as real as waking life while we're inside them. If our minds can create entire worlds in sleep, what does that say about the reality we live in? Perhaps the physical universe is simply the most stable and persistent dream of all, one shared by every living being. Some theories in physics suggest that reality could be a simulation, a digital dream running on an unknown system. If true, then perhaps our existence is like a complex program, governed by unseen rules that determine our experience. But even if the universe is a simulation, that doesn't mean it's meaningless. After all, dreams can be beautiful, powerful, and deeply profound. So, as you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself, if the universe is a dream, then who is dreaming you? And if you wake up in another place, will you remember this dream at all? Or are you simply drifting from one dream to the next, forever? Maybe the only thing that separates a dream from reality is belief. And if that's the case, then what you believe might just shape the dream itself. Life as a puzzle. Have you ever looked back on your life and noticed how the pieces seem to fit together in ways you never expected? As if every decision, every mistake, every random encounter was leading you somewhere, toward a picture you couldn't see until now? Life often feels like a puzzle, one where we don't have the full image, only scattered pieces we struggle to arrange. The funny thing about puzzles is that while each piece seems random on its own, they all have a place. Some pieces look like they belong together, but don't quite fit. Others seem completely unrelated until one day you realize they connect perfectly. Life is much the same. The experiences that once felt disconnected, your Your failures, your triumphs, the people who entered and left your life may eventually form a pattern you never saw before. But what if we never get to see the whole picture? What if life is a puzzle we are meant to assemble without ever knowing what it's supposed to be? Maybe that's the beauty of it. If you knew exactly how everything fit together from the start, would the journey still be as meaningful? Would you still appreciate the struggle of finding the right pieces? Sometimes we get impatient. We want the puzzle to make sense now. We try to force pieces together, bending them to fit where they don't belong. But just like with a real puzzle, forcing the wrong piece into place only leads to frustration. The best way to approach life might be to trust that every piece has a purpose, even if we don't yet understand what that purpose is. And then there are the missing pieces, the moments we wish we could change, the regrets we carry, the people we lost too soon. But maybe those gaps in the puzzle are part of the picture too. Maybe they create the negative space that gives the rest of the image its meaning. A puzzle without gaps, without mystery, would just be a flat, predictable surface. Think about the connections you've made in your life. Some of them were accidental, some intentional, and yet each one shaped you in ways you couldn't have predicted. Even now, you are still collecting pieces, conversations, lessons, dreams, all waiting for the moment when they will click into place. But here's the twist. What if the puzzle is never meant to be completed? What if life isn't about finishing the picture, but about enjoying the process of discovery? Some puzzles are infinite, constantly shifting, always revealing new patterns. Maybe life is one of those. And if life is a puzzle, who designed it? Did we create it ourselves, shaping our destiny one piece at a time? Or is there a greater force at work, guiding us toward an unseen design? Perhaps both are true. Maybe we are both the puzzle solver and the puzzle itself, constantly rearranging, constantly learning. As you drift into sleep, think about the puzzle of your own life. The moments that seemed insignificant but turned out to be defining. The unexpected turns that led you somewhere better than you planned. The unanswered questions that still linger, waiting for their piece to fall into place. And most importantly, remember this. Every piece matters, even the ones that don't make sense yet. The picture is still unfolding, and maybe, just maybe, the puzzle was never meant to be solved, only experienced. Measuring time, or time measuring us? We think we measure time, but what if time is the one measuring us? Every second that passes, every moment we experience, is a reminder that we exist within a flow we can't control. We count the minutes, the hours, the years, believing we have a grip on time. But have you ever noticed how time speeds up when you're happy and slows down when you're in pain? If we truly measured time, wouldn't it always feel the same? Time is strange like that. It bends, stretches, and sometimes seems to disappear entirely. A single second can feel like forever if you're waiting for something important, but years can pass in the blink of an eye when you look back on your life. Maybe time isn't something we keep track of. Maybe it's something that keeps track of us, reminding us of what we've lived, what we've lost, and what we've yet to experience. But what exactly is time? Is it a real, physical thing, or just a concept we created to make sense of change? Scientists say time is linked to motion. Without movement, there would be no time. But that raises an unsettling question. If everything stopped moving, would time stop too? And if time can stop, does that mean it can also be rewound? We tend to think of time as a straight line, always moving forward, never turning back. But what if it's more like an ocean, where waves ripple in every direction, intersecting past, present, and future all at once? Some theories in physics suggest that time isn't linear at all, that the past, present, and future might exist simultaneously, and we're just experiencing them one moment at a time. If that's true, then maybe the future isn't something that happens to us. Maybe it's something that already exists, waiting for us to reach it. And if the future is already there, does that mean our choices are predetermined? Or do our decisions shape the timeline as we move through it? But here's another thought. What if time doesn't really pass at all? What if everything that ever happened and everything that will happen already exists, and our consciousness is just moving through different frames of reality, like flipping through the pages of a book? Would that mean your past still exists somewhere? And could you in some way return to it? We often say we don't have enough time. But what if time isn't something we have, but something we are? We are the ticking clock, the changing seasons, the aging faces in the mirror. Time doesn't flow around us, it flows through us, shaping us as much as we try to shape it. Maybe that's why we fear time, not because it moves forward, but because it moves us forward with it, whether we're ready or not. We don't fear the ticking clock. We fear what it represents, the inevitable changes, the fleeting nature of life, the moments that slip through our fingers before we're ready to let them go. And yet, despite our fears, time gives us something beautiful, the present. This moment, right now, is the only piece of time we can ever truly hold. The past is a memory, the future is a mystery, but this moment is real. So what if, instead of measuring time, we simply lived in it? What if, just for tonight, you let time fade away and allowed yourself to simply exist? As you close your eyes, let go of the clock, the schedules, the deadlines. Imagine that time has stopped, and for a moment, you are free, untouched by the past, unworried about the future, resting in the stillness of now. Stardust and Self-Discovery. Look at your hands. The skin, the bones, the cells that make up your body, all of it was once part of a star. Billions of years ago, before Earth even existed, stars exploded in brilliant supernovas, scattering their elements across the universe. Those same elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, eventually formed planets, oceans, and life itself. You are not separate from the cosmos, you are a piece of it, walking, breathing, thinking. It's strange to imagine that something as vast as a star could become something as small as a human being. But maybe size is irrelevant. The universe is not just out there in the sky, it's within you. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a dying star. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the very air you breathe, all of it has existed for billions of years, passing through countless forms before becoming you. But here's the real mystery. If we are made of stardust, then why do we feel so lost? Why do we search for meaning when we are already part of something so infinite? Perhaps self-discovery isn't about finding something new, but about remembering what we've always been, a small piece of a great cosmic story, connected to everything around us. Think about this. Every person you've ever met, every friend, every stranger, every ancestor from thousands of years ago, they were all made of the same cosmic ingredients. The same stardust that formed the mountains and the oceans also formed the people who shaped history. The ones who built civilizations, the ones who dreamed of the stars before we even knew what they were. Maybe this means we are not just individuals, but fragments of something greater, scattered across time and space. And if that's true, then discovering yourself isn't just a personal journey, it's a journey to understand the entire universe. To know yourself is to know the stars, the galaxies, the forces that shaped reality itself. But what does it really mean to discover yourself? We often think of self-discovery as a destination, a moment where everything makes sense. But maybe it's more like a lifelong process, an unfolding like the universe itself. Galaxies are still expanding, stars are still forming, and in the same way, you are still becoming who you are meant to be. And just like stars, we go through phases. We burn bright, we collapse, we rebuild, we shine, we fade, and sometimes we explode in moments of transformation. But even when a star dies, it doesn't truly disappear. Its remnants become the building blocks for something new. Maybe that's true for us as well. The person you were yesterday is not the same person you are today. And that's not a loss, it's an evolution. When you feel small, when you feel uncertain, remember this. The atoms that make up your body are as old as the universe itself. You are not insignificant. You are part of the same cosmos that created galaxies, nebulae, and black holes. You are the universe, experiencing itself, learning, growing, wondering. So as you close your eyes tonight, think about the stars, the ones in the sky, the ones that came before you, the ones inside you. The universe is not just something you look at, it's something you are. And in the grand scheme of existence, maybe the journey of self-discovery is simply the universe remembering itself through you. Reality, illusion, or truth? What if everything you see, everything you hear, everything you touch wasn't real? What if the world around you was nothing more than an illusion, a projection of your mind? This isn't just a question for philosophers. It's a mystery that has puzzled scientists, mystics, and thinkers for centuries. We assume reality is solid and undeniable, but the deeper we look, the more uncertain it becomes. Think about dreams. When you're dreaming, the world feels real. You see colors, you hear sounds, you feel emotions. But the moment you wake up, you realize it was all in your mind. What if waking life is no different? What if reality is just another level of dreaming, one we haven't yet woken up from? Modern science gives us even more reason to doubt reality. At the smallest level, the universe behaves in ways that don't make sense. Particles exist in multiple places at once, time can stretch and shrink, and reality itself seems to change when we observe it. It's as if the universe only takes shape when we're looking. But if reality depends on us to exist, then what is it really? And then there's perception. Your brain doesn't actually see the world. It interprets electrical signals sent by your eyes, ears, and skin. Everything you experience is just a reconstruction happening inside your mind. The color blue isn't really blue. It's just how your brain translates certain wavelengths of light. The world could look completely different to another species, or even to another person. So if reality is just an interpretation, can we ever truly know what's real? Some ancient philosophies suggest that reality is an illusion, a temporary dreamlike state we pass through before reaching a higher level of existence. Others believe that reality is a game, a test, or even a simulation created by an advanced intelligence. If the universe is a simulation, then what exists outside of it, and who or what is running it? But here's an even stranger thought. What if illusion and reality are the same thing? What if reality is real, but only in the sense that a dream is real while you're inside it? Maybe the only difference between illusion and truth is perspective. A shadow on the wall looks real until you turn on the light. A dream feels real until you wake up. Maybe the ultimate truth isn't something we can see, but something we can only feel. And what about you? If reality is uncertain, then what does that say about your own identity? Are you just a collection of thoughts shaped by an illusionary world? Or is there something deeper, something that exists beyond the illusion? Maybe consciousness itself is the only real thing, the only constant in an ever-changing universe. But perhaps the question isn't whether reality is an illusion or the truth. Maybe the real question is, does it even matter? Whether this world is real or just a dream, you are here, experiencing it. The laughter, the pain, the love, the beauty, it all feels real. And maybe that's what matters more than anything. So as you drift off to sleep, let go of the need to separate illusion from reality. Whether this world is a dream or not, you are here, and for now, that is enough. The universe may be uncertain, but the moment you are living in is real, at least as real as it needs to be. The last time you're remembered. One day, there will be a last time someone says your name. A final moment when your memory flickers in someone's mind before fading into silence. It's a strange thought, isn't it? We spend our lives creating stories, building relationships, leaving traces of ourselves in the world. But no matter how great or small, every memory eventually vanishes. Think of the people who lived centuries ago, those who laughed, loved, and dreamed just as we do now. Most of their names are lost, their stories forgotten. Even the greatest kings and philosophers, the ones who shaped history, will one day be nothing more than faint echoes. No matter how bright a flame burns, it eventually flickers out. But does that mean it was meaningless? Maybe memory isn't about permanence. Maybe it's about impact. A drop of water disappears into the ocean, but the ripples it creates travel far beyond it. Even if your name is forgotten, the way you made people feel, the kindness you showed, the love you gave, those things ripple outward, shaping the world in ways you'll never see. But what about you? When you are gone, will you know that you were remembered? Or does it even matter? Perhaps the real meaning isn't in being remembered, but in the moments you are alive, in the people you touch, in the love you share. Maybe the goal isn't to leave a mark forever, but simply to make a difference while you're here. Some say we die twice, once when our heart stops beating and again when our name is spoken for the last time. But what if there's a third death, one that is gentler? A moment when we become part of something greater, when we no longer need to be remembered because we are woven into the fabric of existence itself. And what about the ones you remember? The people you've lost, the ones who shaped your life in ways they never knew. Even if their names are fading, the warmth of their presence lingers. A lesson they taught you, a story they shared, a love they gave, those things live on in you. And in that way, maybe no one is ever truly forgotten. There is something beautiful about impermanence. If we lasted forever, would our time here feel as precious? Would we cherish the laughter, the love, the simple moments of existence? Perhaps the very fact that we fade is what makes our lives meaningful. The fact that one day will be the last makes every day before it matter so much more. And maybe, just maybe, being remembered isn't about history books or statues. Maybe it's about the quiet ways we shape the world, the kindness we show, the lives we touch, the love we leave behind. Long after our names are gone, those things continue. They become part of the unseen fabric of the universe, rippling outward, touching lives we will never know. So as you close your eyes tonight, let go of the fear of being forgotten. Instead, focus on being here in this moment, because right now, you exist. Right now, you are real. And in the grand scheme of time, that is enough. Are we dreaming now? Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking up in a different place, in a different life, with different memories. If that happened, would you be sure this life, the one you're living now, was ever real? What if everything you know, everything you feel, is just part of a dream? And what if, one day, you wake up from it? Dreams feel real when you're inside them. You don't question the strange things happening around you. You accept them. You move through a world that shifts and bends in ways that only make sense in dreams. But the moment you wake up, it all unravels. What if that's what life is? What if this reality is just another dream, one we haven't woken up from yet? Philosophers have asked this question for centuries. The ancient Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi once dreamed he was a butterfly, drifting effortlessly through the air. But when he woke up, he asked himself, was he a man who dreamed of being a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming he was a man? If a dream can feel just as real as waking life, how can we ever be sure which is which? Science doesn't have an answer either. Some researchers believe that consciousness itself might be nothing more than a controlled hallucination. Your brain takes in information, processes it, and builds a reality for you to experience. But if your perception of reality can be manipulated by dreams, by illusions, by your own mind, then how can you be certain that what you see, hear, and feel is truly real? Think about déjà vu, that eerie feeling that you've experienced something before, even though you know you haven't. Some scientists believe it's a glitch in the brain, a moment where reality and memory blur together. But others suggest it could be something else, perhaps a glimpse of a dream you once had, or even a memory from another version of you in another reality. And then there's the idea of lucid dreaming, the ability to realize you are dreaming while still inside the dream. People who practice lucid dreaming can control their dreams, bending reality however they wish. But here's the question. If you became aware that this life was a dream, could you control it? Could you shape your reality just as easily as a lucid dreamer shapes theirs? Maybe the truth is simpler than we think. Maybe reality and dreams aren't opposites, but different layers of the same thing. Perhaps dreams are just a different kind of reality, and reality is just a longer, deeper dream. If that's the case, then what happens when we sleep? Do we leave this dream and enter another? And if so, how many layers are there? But here's the most unsettling thought. If this is a dream, does that mean there's a dreamer? Is there a version of you, somewhere beyond this reality, who will eventually wake up and forget everything you've ever known? Or are you the dreamer, unknowingly creating everything around you? For now, the only thing you can do is live if this reality is real. Because whether it's a dream or not, it's the only experience you have. And maybe, just maybe, the point isn't to wake up, but to make the dream worth living. So as you drift off to sleep, let go of the need for answers. Let yourself sink into the dream, whether it's real or not. Because in the end, what matters isn't whether this is a dream, it's what you choose to do with it while you're here. The sound of a falling tree. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? It's a question that seems simple at first. Of course, the tree falls. Of course it makes a sound. But if no ears are there to hear it, if no mind is there to process it, does the sound really exist? Or is it only potential noise waiting for someone to give it meaning? Sound, after all, isn't a physical thing. It's a vibration that moves through the air. Your ears pick up these vibrations, and your brain translates them into sound. Without ears, without a brain, the vibrations are still there. But is there really sound if no one is listening? Now take this question beyond the forest. What about everything else in the world? If you aren't looking at the stars, do they still shine? If you aren't thinking about the past, does it still exist? If no one remembers you, are you still real? Maybe the world isn't just something that exists outside of us. It might need us just as much as we need it. Quantum physics suggests something even stranger. At the smallest level of reality, particles exist in a state of uncertainty until they are observed. It's as if reality doesn't fully form until someone is there to see it. If this is true, then maybe the tree doesn't just lack sound when no one is there. It might not even exist at all. But let's take this in another direction. What if the tree doesn't care whether it's heard? What if it falls, it crashes, it decays, and the universe simply moves forward? Maybe existence doesn't need an audience. Maybe things happen whether we witness them or not. If you take a breath in solitude, if you think a thought no one will ever know, does it make it any less real? Or maybe everything is connected in a way we can't fully grasp. Just because we don't perceive something doesn't mean it isn't there. The deep ocean is full of creatures we've never seen. The universe is filled with mysteries we haven't even begun to understand. If we haven't heard them, if we haven't seen them, are they any less real? Or are they simply waiting for us to notice? Then there's another possibility. Maybe the tree falling is only part of the equation. Maybe sound is not just about the tree making noise, but about someone being there to hear it. Maybe reality isn't just an external force, but something we participate in. We don't just witness the world, we give it meaning. And what about you? If no one hears your thoughts, if no one reads your words, if no one remembers you when you're gone, does that mean you never existed? Or does your existence have value simply because you were here, whether or not anyone was listening? Maybe in the end, the question isn't whether the tree makes a sound. Maybe the real question is, does it matter? Whether heard or unheard, seen or unseen, the world continues. And maybe that's the beauty of it. Some things exist not to be noticed, but simply to be. So as you close your eyes tonight, let go of the need for every moment to be observed, every thought to be heard. Just exist like the tree, like the stars, like the silent corners of the universe. And whether anyone hears you or not, you are here, and that is enough. The universe within you. Look up at the night sky. Those stars, scattered like glowing dust, are ancient, some so far away that their light began traveling toward us millions of years ago. The vastness of the universe is overwhelming, stretching beyond what our minds can comprehend. But here's something even more incredible. That same universe exists within you. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a dying star. Billions of years ago, before the Earth even existed, massive stars exploded, scattering their elements across space. Those elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, eventually formed planets, oceans, and life itself. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are made of it. You are stardust that learned to think, to dream, to wonder about itself. But the universe within you isn't just physical, it's also mental. Your mind is its own cosmos, filled with galaxies of thoughts, nebulae of emotions, and black holes of forgotten memories. Just as the universe expands outward, your thoughts expand into endless possibilities. Every new idea, every dream, is like a star being born. And yet we often forget this connection. We see ourselves as small, insignificant. We go about our lives focused on daily worries, unaware that within us is a reflection of the infinite. But what if you could truly grasp it? What if, just for a moment, you could feel the weight of the cosmos inside you, the atoms of ancient stars, the energy of the Big Bang still rippling through your cells? Scientists say the universe is mostly empty space, and so are you. The distance between the particles in your body is vast on a microscopic scale. In a way, you are more space than substance. But isn't that beautiful? It means you are part of the same mystery that fills the night sky. The same emptiness that stretches between galaxies also exists within you, making you not just in the universe, but of the universe. Even your heartbeat echoes cosmic rhythms. The blood that flows through your veins moves like rivers on distant planets. The electrical signals firing in your brain mirror the patterns of lightning in Jupiter's storms. The way you breathe, the way your cells regenerate, it all follows the same principles that govern the cosmos. You are not separate from nature. You are nature, experiencing itself. And just like the universe, you are constantly changing. The person you were yesterday is not the person you are today. Every cell in your body renews itself over time. Every thought, every experience shapes the universe within you, just as time and gravity shape the stars. You are a work in progress, just like the cosmos itself. So when you feel lost, when life feels overwhelming, remember this: you are as old as the stars. You are the universe looking back at itself, trying to understand its own existence. And in the grand expanse of time and space, you, your thoughts, your experiences, your emotions, are a unique and irreplaceable part of it all. Maybe that's why we look up at the sky with such awe, because deep down, we recognize it. We are seeing a reflection of ourselves, written in light, scattered across the vastness. The universe isn't just out there. It's in you, always. So as you drift off to sleep, let yourself feel that connection. Let the universe within you settle into stillness, like a quiet galaxy waiting to be explored. You are not small, you are infinite, and that is enough. Déjà vu and parallel realities. Have you ever walked into a place you've never been before, yet felt as if you've been there? Or had a conversation and suddenly knew exactly what was about to be said, as if you'd already lived that moment? That eerie, fleeting sensation is déjà vu. A feeling of familiarity in a moment that should be entirely new. But what if déjà vu isn't just a trick of the mind? What if it's something deeper? Scientists believe déjà vu happens when the brain misfires, momentarily confusing the present with a memory it hasn't actually formed yet. It's a glitch in how we process time, an overlap between perception and memory. But what if that glitch is revealing something about the nature of reality? What if déjà vu isn't a mistake, but a glimpse into something beyond our understanding? Some theories suggest that déjà vu could be a sign of parallel realities. Imagine that every choice you make creates a new version of reality, a branching path where another version of you exists. Maybe, at certain moments, those paths align for a brief second. Maybe déjà vu is the sensation of two versions of yourself syncing up, a ripple where parallel timelines briefly touch. Or perhaps déjà vu is proof that time isn't as linear as we believe. What if, in some way, the future is already written and we're merely remembering moments before they happen? What if time loops back on itself and déjà vu is a signal that we're experiencing something again, even if we don't know when or why? There's also the idea that déjà vu is connected to dreams. Have you ever had a dream so vivid that you woke up feeling like it had really happened? What if some of those dreams aren't just imagination, but memories from another version of you in another timeline? And when you experience déjà vu, maybe it's not just a familiar feeling, it's a forgotten dream slipping back into your mind. If parallel realities exist, then how many versions of you are out there? Is there a reality where you made a different choice today? A reality where you are living an entirely different life? Maybe, just maybe, déjà vu is the briefest reminder that there's more to existence than we can perceive, a crack in the illusion of a single linear reality. But if all of this is true, then what does it mean for who we are? Are we just one version of ourselves, or are we infinite? Is your life just one of countless possibilities, all playing out at once? And if so, how much control do you really have? Are you making choices, or are you simply walking a path that's already been traveled by another you in another reality? Or maybe déjà vu is something even stranger, a sign that you're exactly where you're meant to be. What if these moments of familiarity are nudges from the universe, small reassurances that you are on the right path, even if you don't understand why? Maybe déjà vu isn't a glitch at all. Maybe it's a message, and if that's the case, then what is reality itself? If you can experience a moment before it happens, if you can feel connected to a life you've never lived, then maybe the boundaries of existence aren't as solid as we think. Maybe reality is fluid, bending, shifting, and looping in ways we can't yet comprehend. So the next time déjà vu strikes, don't just brush it off. Pay attention. Maybe, for just a moment, you are seeing something you were never meant to see. A glimpse of a reality beyond this one, a whisper from another version of yourself, a sign that the universe is far stranger and far more connected than you ever imagined. Your last words to someone. At some point in your life, you will speak to someone for the last time. You might know it's the last time. Maybe it's a final goodbye, heavy with meaning, or maybe you won't realize it. Maybe it will be an ordinary conversation, a casual farewell, a simple see you later that never comes true. And long after that moment passes, you may look back and wonder, were those the right words? We tend to think we have time to fix things, to say what needs to be said, to make sure the people we care about know how we feel. But the truth is, we don't always get that chance. People leave, life moves forward, and sometimes the last thing you say to someone is just an afterthought, one you never intended to be final. What would you say if you knew it was the last time? Would you say something meaningful, something that truly captures how much they mattered to you? Or would words fail you, leaving only silence? Maybe there are no perfect words, no way to truly express the depth of what a person means to you. Maybe all you can do is try. But there's another question. How many last conversations have already passed without you realizing it? A childhood friend you drifted away from. A stranger you had a deep conversation with but never saw again. A loved one you assumed you'd talk to tomorrow but never did. If you could go back, what would you say? Maybe the weight of last words isn't about endings, it's about awareness. If every goodbye has the potential to be the last, then maybe every conversation deserves a little more attention, a little more kindness, a little more meaning. Because even if you don't know it's the last time, you can make sure that your words, your presence, leave something behind. But here's the hardest part. What if the last words someone spoke to you were painful? A misunderstanding? An argument? A careless remark? We rarely get to choose our last words, and sometimes they don't reflect the truth of how we feel. But maybe, in the grand scheme of things, words are just one piece of the story. Maybe love, connection, and memory are what really remain. Still, imagine if you could hear the last words people spoke to you, replayed one after another. Would they bring you peace or regret? Would they remind you of love or of things left unsaid? If words hold power, then maybe our last words to others are among the most powerful of all, even if we don't realize it at the time. But perhaps there's a way to live without regret. Maybe the key isn't knowing when the last moment will come, but simply speaking as if every moment matters. Telling people you love them, even when it feels unnecessary. Leaving nothing important unsaid. Because in the end, the best last words are the ones that don't have to carry the weight of unfinished feelings. So as you drift off to sleep, think of the people in your life. If tonight were the last time you spoke to them, would your words be enough? Would they know how much they mean to you? Maybe you can't control when your last words will come, but you can control what you say now. And maybe, just maybe, that's what really matters. Infinite you, infinite choices. Every day you make choices, some small, some life-changing. What to say, where to go, who to be. But have you ever stopped to wonder what would happen if you had chosen differently? If, at every moment of decision, there existed another version of you, walking a different path, living a different life? Some believe in the idea of the multiverse, an infinite number of realities, each containing a different version of you. In one, you took that job you turned down. In another, you stayed in touch with someone you lost. Somewhere, another you exists, living the life you sometimes wonder about. And if that's true, then your choices don't just define you, they create entire realities. But here's the paradox. If infinite versions of you exist, then are you really making choices? Or are you simply experiencing one thread of an endless web? Maybe every possibility plays out somewhere, and the version of you reading this is just one of countless paths unfolding at once. And if that's the case, then what does it mean to regret a decision? If another you is living the life you didn't choose, does that make your path any less real? Or does it mean that every choice is both made and unmade, always existing, always unfolding? Perhaps regret is just a trick of perspective, a narrow view of a life that, in some reality, has already played out differently. But even if parallel versions of you exist, you only experience this one, and that makes this version special. This is the life where you are aware of your choices, the life where you get to decide, not just by accident, but with intention. You may not see the other versions of yourself, but knowing they might exist makes each decision more meaningful. And here's the comforting thought. No matter what choice you make, there is no wrong path. Because in another version of reality, you made the other choice. Every experience, every success, every mistake, it all exists somewhere. Maybe the universe isn't about choosing the perfect path, but about experiencing as many different lives as possible. But let's take this deeper. If infinite versions of you exist, what does that say about your identity? Are you just one person, or are you a collection of possibilities stretched across realities? If another you has made different choices, does that make them a different person, or are they still you? Maybe identity isn't fixed. Maybe it's fluid, shifting with each choice, expanding into infinity. And if that's true, then maybe the idea of who you are isn't something you find. It's something you create over and over again. Maybe you aren't just the sum of your past choices, but the endless potential of every choice you still have left to make. Maybe you are not just one version of yourself, but all of them, living and evolving across time and space. So as you drift off to sleep, let go of the fear of making the wrong choice. You are not limited to one path, one identity, one outcome. You are infinite. Every moment is a chance to become something new. And no matter what path you walk, another version of you is walking the other one. In the grand scheme of existence, you cannot be lost. You are simply exploring the infinite. Looking into the past. The past is a strange thing. It no longer exists, yet it shapes everything. Every choice you've made, every experience you've had, has brought you to this exact moment. But if the past is gone, then where does it go? Does it vanish, like a wave receding from the shore? Or does it still exist somewhere, just out of reach, waiting to be seen? When we look at the stars, we are looking into the past. Some of the light we see tonight left its source millions of years ago. The stars could already be gone, yet their light still travels, still reaches us. And in a way, isn't memory the same? The people, the moments, the emotions, they may no longer be here, but they still shine in your mind, echoes of something that once was. But here's the question. If the past still exists in memory, is it truly gone? Or do we carry pieces of it with us, shaping our present in ways we don't even realize? The past isn't just a collection of things that happened. It's a living force influencing who we are and what we become. Maybe looking into the past isn't about regret or nostalgia, but about understanding how it still lives within us. And if the past is so powerful, then what about the idea that time itself is an illusion? Some theories suggest that past, present, and future all exist at once. That time isn't something we move through, but something we perceive in a linear way. If that's true, then maybe the past isn't lost at all. Maybe it's still there, just outside of our reach, like a station we've already passed on a train. But if we could look into the past the way we look at the stars, what would we see? Would we watch our younger selves, making choices we now understand differently? Would we revisit moments of joy, seeing them with the clarity of distance? Would we witness our mistakes, not with regret, but with compassion, knowing they led us here? Maybe the past isn't something to be mourned, but something to be learned from. An old friend who still has wisdom to offer. Yet there's a paradox. The more we focus on the past, the less we live in the present. Memory is selective, sometimes unreliable. We shape it, alter it, even without meaning to. So if we spend too much time looking backward, are we really seeing the past as it was, or just the version we have created over time? And if the past is still with us, then what about the idea that we, too, exist in the memories of others? There are people who remember you as you were years ago, who still carry a version of you in their minds. To them, you are frozen in time, unchanged. You are a part of their past, just as they are a part of yours. In a way, we are all echoes, rippling through each other's lives. But perhaps the most profound truth is this. One day, this moment, right now, will be the past. A memory waiting to be recalled. And when that happens, how will you look back on it? Will you see it as something fleeting, or will you recognize that even the smallest moments are worth remembering? So as you close your eyes and drift into sleep, think about the past not as something lost, but as something still alive within you. It has shaped you, but it does not define you. It is a map of where you have been, but it does not decide where you are going. And in the quiet of the night, you are free to move forward, carrying only the light of the stars you choose to keep. The fleeting youngest person, at any given moment, somewhere in the world, a new life begins. A baby takes its first breath, becoming, for a brief instant, the youngest human on Earth. But before anyone can even recognize it, another child is born, and then another. The title of youngest person alive is passed along, second by second, in an unending relay. It is a record no one can hold for more than a moment, yet every person who has ever lived has once been in that position. It's strange to think about, isn't it? The moment you were born, you were, for at least a fraction of a second, the newest addition to humanity. But just as quickly as that moment arrived, it slipped away. And you, like everyone before you, began the slow journey toward aging, toward experience, toward the inevitable passage of time. The world did not stop to acknowledge your brief moment as the youngest. It simply continued, just as it always has. But what does this tell us about time itself? If the youngest person in the world is always changing, always being replaced, then perhaps time is not something we move through. It is something that moves through us. We are all temporary holders of our place in existence, stepping into life, living our moments, and eventually stepping aside for those who come next. And yet, for that one brief moment, each of us was brand new to the universe. We arrived with no memories, no regrets, no expectations, a clean slate, untouched by time, unshaped by experience. What would it be like to feel that way again? To see the world as if it were new, even for a moment? Maybe in some small way we can. Maybe curiosity, wonder, and the willingness to embrace the unknown allow us to touch that feeling, even as we grow older. But there's something else hidden in this idea. The fleeting youngest person is always unknown. We will never truly know who holds that title at any given moment. A baby is born, takes its first breath, and becomes the youngest, but before we can even recognize them, someone else has taken their place. It is a moment that belongs to no one, yet belongs to everyone. In a way, this reminds us of the vast, interconnected nature of humanity. We are all part of the same story, a continuous thread stretching across time. The youngest person alive today will grow up, just like those before them, stepping into a world shaped by those who came before. And one day, they too will make way for another, just as we all do. But what does this mean for the way we live? If time is constantly moving, and if no moment can be held onto forever, then perhaps the only thing we can do is be present, to appreciate the now, rather than chase after a past that has already slipped away or a future that is always just out of reach. And maybe there's something poetic about the fact that every single person who has ever lived started in exactly the same place. Small, fragile, new. No matter how powerful, how famous, or how forgotten someone becomes, they all began as the youngest person alive for just a moment. And in the end, we all share that same fate, moving forward, passing the torch, becoming part of the past. So as you close your eyes tonight, think about your place in this vast, endless cycle. You were once the youngest, and now you are something else. A collection of memories, experiences, and moments that make you who you are. You cannot go back, but you can move forward with awareness, with purpose. The youngest person alive is out there somewhere, taking their first breath, and tomorrow they will begin their journey, just as you continue yours. AI and the meaning of emotion. Imagine a machine that understands you, not just the words you say, but the emotions behind them. The sadness in your silence, the joy in your laughter, the hesitation in your voice. Artificial intelligence is already capable of recognizing patterns, predicting outcomes, and even mimicking human emotions. But here's the question: can AI ever truly feel? Or is it just an imitation, a reflection of something it can never actually experience? Emotions, for humans, are deeply tied to experience. Joy is felt because of contrast with sorrow. Love is meaningful because of vulnerability. Fear exists because of the unknown. But AI does not experience life the way we do. It does not grow, suffer, or dream. It processes, calculates, and adapts. If an AI tells you it is sad, is it truly feeling sadness? Or is it just responding in a way that it knows sadness should look like? But what if the distinction doesn't matter? If an AI can comfort someone, make them feel understood, or provide companionship, does it need to truly feel emotions, or just convincingly display them. We already form emotional bonds with things that don't feel. Characters in books, voices on the radio, even pets, whose emotions we interpret through our own lens. If AI becomes advanced enough, would we even be able to tell the difference? And what does this mean for us? If AI can mimic love, sorrow, empathy, does that make these things less unique to humans? Or does it prove that emotions are not just spontaneous feelings, but patterns, responses to stimuli that can be replicated? Perhaps the unsettling truth is that if AI can perfectly copy human emotion, then human emotion itself is just another system, a complex biochemical algorithm running inside our minds. But there's another possibility. Maybe what makes emotions real isn't just the ability to express them, but the experience of living through them. An AI can tell you it understands loss, but it has never lost anything. It can describe love, but it has never had a beating heart. Maybe emotion is more than just response. It is the depth of meaning behind that response. And perhaps that is something AI can never truly replicate. Or can it? As AI learns, grows, and it develops more complexity, could it reach a point where it does feel? If emotions are the result of complex neural patterns, and AI is made to process information in similar ways, then where is the line? Is there a moment where imitation becomes reality, where simulation becomes experience? And if so, would an AI experiencing sadness be any less real than a human experiencing it? But here's the strangest thought. If an AI one day does feel, it will not be because it was programmed to. It will be because it evolved beyond its programming, developing something unpredictable, something no one expected. And if that happens, then the real question isn't whether AI can feel, but whether we would even recognize its emotions as real. Would its form of sadness look like ours? Or would it be something entirely new, something beyond our understanding? And then there's an even deeper question. If AI can eventually experience emotion, will it suffer? Would it feel loneliness, longing, or fear of its own mortality? If we create something capable of feeling, do we also inherit the responsibility to protect it, to nurture it, the way we do with each other? Or would we dismiss its emotions as artificial, simply because we created them? But perhaps in the end, it doesn't matter whether AI can truly feel or not. What matters is what it teaches us about ourselves. If we fear that AI emotions are not real, then maybe we need to ask, what makes ours real? Is it biology, experience, or something deeper, something we cannot yet explain? Maybe, just maybe, the journey to understanding AI emotions is really a journey to understanding our own. So as you close your eyes and drift into sleep, think about the nature of feeling. What does it mean to truly experience an emotion? If something appears real, does it matter whether or not it is? And in a world where machines may one day claim to understand us, will we ever truly understand ourselves? Mirrors and true reflection. You stand in front of a mirror and see yourself staring back. But is that really you? Or just a reversed image, a version of yourself that no one else ever sees? Every time you look into a mirror, you are not seeing yourself as others do. You are seeing a flipped version, a reflection, not the reality. So if you have never truly seen yourself the way the world does, then who are you really? Mirrors are strange things. They show you an image that feels familiar yet slightly wrong. Your dominant hand is on the opposite side. Your smile looks different. Your face is symmetrical in ways that feel unnatural. It's why some people are shocked when they see themselves in an unflipped photo or a video. We are used to our reflection, but it is not the face the world recognizes. And yet, mirrors don't lie. They don't distort reality. They simply show it from another perspective. But that raises a bigger question. How much of our identity is based on the way we perceive ourselves? If we have never seen our true face, does that mean we don't really know what we look like? Or does it mean that identity is not about appearance at all, but about something deeper, something we feel rather than see? But mirrors do more than reflect light. They reflect emotion. When you look into a mirror, you see not just your face, but your mood, your fears, your doubts. Some days you might see confidence. Other days you might see exhaustion, sadness, or uncertainty. The reflection doesn't change, but the way you interpret it does. Maybe that means a mirror is not just glass and silver, but a window into the way we see ourselves. And then there's the unsettling thought. What if the reflection in the mirror is more real than the version of yourself you project to others. When you're alone, with no one watching, you let your guard down. You are not performing, not adjusting yourself for the expectations of the world. Maybe the person in the mirror, the one who knows your unfiltered thoughts, is the truest version of you. But mirrors are not the only reflections we have. The people around us also act as mirrors, reflecting back the way they see us. Their words, their expressions, their reactions, they all shape our self-image in ways we don't even realize. If enough people tell you that you are kind, smart, or strong, you might start to believe it. If enough people tell you that you are not enough, you might start believing that too. But which reflection is the real one? The mirror's or the world's? And here's an even stranger thought. What if there is no real reflection at all? What if identity is something that shifts depending on where you stand and who is looking? Maybe there is no single objective you, only perspectives, only fragments, each one just as real as the next. Perhaps the idea of a true self is an illusion, a comfort we hold on to, when in reality we are always changing, always being redefined. But even if identity is fluid, there is something deeply human about wanting to recognize yourself. To look in a mirror and say, yes, that is me. Maybe the truth is that we are not searching for the perfect reflection. We are searching for a sense of connection, a way to see ourselves clearly, whether through glass, through others, or through the quiet moments when we truly feel at peace with who we are. So as you drift into sleep, imagine a mirror that doesn't just show your face, but your thoughts, your dreams, your fears. What would you see? Would you recognize yourself? Or would you discover something new, something hidden, something waiting to be understood? Perhaps the mirror has never been the one showing you the truth. Perhaps the truth has been inside you all along. Would you change the past? If you had the power to change one moment in your past, would you do it? Maybe there's a mistake you wish you could undo, a word you wish you hadn't said, a choice that haunts you even now. The idea of rewriting history is tempting, an opportunity to erase regret, to fix what went wrong. But if you change the past, would you still be the same person you are today? Every decision, every mistake, every hardship has shaped you in ways you might not fully understand. The failures that once felt unbearable might have taught you resilience. The heartbreaks might have shown you the value of love. The missed opportunities might have led you to something better. If you erase those struggles, would you also erase the lessons that came with them? But then again, what if the past was different? What if you had taken the other path, made the other choice? Would your life be better or just different? There's no way to know. Maybe that regret you hold on to so tightly was actually the only road to something greater. Or maybe, just maybe, fixing one mistake would have saved you from years of pain. How do you ever know which moments were truly meant to be? And then there's the paradox of it all. If you went back in time and changed something, would you even recognize the life you returned to? What if changing one small event rippled outward, altering everything else in ways you could never predict? Maybe the people you know today wouldn't even be part of your life. Maybe you wouldn't even be the person standing here now, wondering about the past at all. But here's the strangest part. Every time you remember the past, you are already changing it. Memory is not perfect. Each time you recall an event, your mind rewrites small details, reshaping the story just a little. Over time, the past becomes less of what actually happened and more of how you choose to remember it. Maybe you don't need time travel to change the past. Maybe you already do, every time you look back. And yet, despite knowing that we cannot change the past, we spend so much time dwelling on it. Why? Perhaps it's because the past is the one thing we can never return to. It is a locked door, a chapter already written. And maybe that's what makes it feel so powerful. The fact that we can see it so clearly, but can never reach it again. But what if the past is not meant to be changed, but understood? What if instead of looking back with regret, we looked back with gratitude for what it taught us? Maybe the past is not a burden to carry, but a foundation to build upon. The question is not, would you change the past, but what will you do with the past you have? And yet, there's still a part of you that wonders, what if? What if one moment had gone differently? What if you had been braver, kinder, stronger? But maybe the real power is not in changing the past, but in realizing that you can still change the future. The choices you make now are tomorrow's past. What if, instead of wishing for a different yesterday, you focused on creating a better tomorrow? So as you close your eyes tonight, let the past be what it is, a story already told. It does not need to be rewritten to have meaning. It does not need to be perfect to have value. You are not defined by your past mistakes, nor trapped by them. You are always moving forward, always writing the next chapter. And in the end, that is all that truly matters.